Going to come around my social media family so that the persons can also see me as well as hear me. Unfortunately, time was taken away from me to broadcast, because this is one male individual person. Can you see me now? Of course you can. This is one male individual person, being of whom is supposed to be my own race. So I don't consider myself as being black or white, etc. But anyway, he himself has this habit, for this here downtown district headquarters library, public branch facility that has the overall say authority over all of the other affiliates and subordinates of it, being of the other public branch library facilities at any other given address locations. Whereas he himself has this habit of, positioning himself, whereas he could, arrange his seat, whereas his front would be facing my side, so he could take pics and vids as in pictures and, or photos and videos of me, for whatever reason or purpose. I wish he could possibly, spoke me that much more, or more about having it on record. And as quite naturally, from there, I would think himself to be, or to have become, or whatever I said, one of my stalkers of male characters. He does this all the time. Whenever I'm on this one particular floor for this headquarters branch library, as we have it within the downtown area for our great metropolis, and which is the business and school hub of our own great metropolitan city, or that being Chicago, Illinois, USA, aka the Windy City, to be compared to that of the sister city to it, one of the sister cities to it, being that city of the Big Apple, city of the Big Apple, New York, city of the Big Apple. And moving right along. So on West, I have had to relocate to a different floor level, because I hate that. Whenever he does that, he does it all the time, as a matter of fact, when I had first arrived here and sat down and got to hooking up my own personal computer, although I use the library's computers, but then if I were to do that, whereas I will only have 2 sessions, each patron of this public facility or any library branch would only have 2 sessions a day on the library's computer. Like one session comes out to a time frame period of 60 minutes. Whereas if you get on your own personal computer, you could be on there for as long as you wish. But then I now have just half an hour left for this particular library branch or public facility, like any other libraries, being which are open at the moment, will close in about half an hour. Let me see how much time I have. Or I would have to pack my things and exit the premises, as they say. Okay. Yes, I have something like 20 minutes. Okay. Good. I haven't even broadcast for the 1/3 of the half an hour of the usual regular broadcast time frame period for social media content on the video that I would think to make for about, composing, being a basic intro and the footnotes, as well as the content, social media content to accompany that thing. So I'm down to less than half an hour, or 2/3 of half an hour, give or take minutes. And whereas the present social media broadcast or video is regarding making reference to that my gambling edition, in which I'm going to have to take a guide. Which I feel like Poochie as the name title of this particular social media content of the video and broadcast is to, compliment some of stuff. The name title, Poochie, the character of Poochie in a vintage classic film, movie flick of Hollywood or Hollywood, California, most 50, that's the one called by its name title New Jack City. Then how do y'all like urban cowboy? And whereas Pookie was addicted to a drug that these here urban cowboys otherwise not law-abiding American citizens and foreigners as I am otherwise compared to like them being street characters, criminals otherwise addicted in that vintage classic movie for Hollywood or Hollywood. Most the majority of celebrities are weird, because they have sold their moral human souls to the devil. You can't win, and you can't break even, and you can't get out of the game with deception if you give it to God, get out of those secret societies, moral factors. But then, moving on, getting back to the original, subject matter, topic of discussion, or the given argument to be debated with many different views and opinions to be associated with representing thereof. So I have a gambling addiction. Really weighing on me. I feel like Pookie in the movie New Jack City, where at one time or another he had become one of the employees hired by this underworld criminal clique to sell drugs for them only after he supposedly got clean, but then he was, moonlighting as a narc for the boys in blue. Up until the time where he was doing good, spying on the opposition, the criminal riffraff, before he went back, he relapsed after undercover cop or detective helped him get clean. He relapsed and started using the stuff that he was supposed to be selling as he got hired by this criminal enterprise, criminal clique, and whereas he was hired before then by the police detective to spy on the same criminal clique that he was supposed to be, working for. Make a long story short, getting back to myself, where I feel like gambling is just as much of a life-threatening addiction that I wouldn't wish on any of my worst enemies. I become addicted to it. Once again, I don't know what to say. I think it has me pretty much in tears. As long as I haven't yet stooped to worse case scenario of gambling, so far as gambling with rent money, utilities money for that matter, home itself, kind of brings a tear in my eyes. There's a tear. See that tear for me? It's such an addiction that I have to get over. I got about a quarter of an hour broadcast now. So, any believers in God out there, please pray for me. It's like I don't want to gamble, but it's like it's calling my name. Paraphrase, not quoting exactly one line for one scene of that movie flick, New Jack City. Yeah, pretty much so. Not just quite, but serious gambling addiction. I don't know what comes over me when I feel the urge to gamble, the desire to do just that, or whatever I say. I want to do right by God. I get to take the God. Gambling. People they call my name. Gambling machine. Regardless of whether or not I win or lose, but usually I be having a losing streak. I'm one of the most unluckiest gamblers, not only within the continental USA, but in the whole wide world. You know, I would hate to think that my gambling could, you know, deviate to an even worse case scenario. Because presently I'm not homeless. I'm not trying to go there. I'm trying to make the mistake of gamble when you rent money away. So pray for me. Any believers of God, Christians, aka practitioners. I'm not talking about any of the other churchgoers, being a majority or most churchgoers, whatever religious denomination, who are closet devil worshippers. I mean, yeah. Gambling has me hooked. I'm sorry, I'm getting quite emotional thinking about this. I feel the waterworks coming more or less. Well, I'm trying not to cry. Well, I hope I won't. And I cried so many tears over different life crises. I doubt if I have much tears left. And gambling it is a serious addiction. But anyway, let me see how much time I have. No, or I have to close out. But this library is about to close in a quarter of an hour, like as in 15 minutes. Well, I guess I'll just continue to broadcast a little longer before I do close out. Maybe I'll broadcast until 5 minutes too. I don't know. Check my watch here. Yeah, about a quarter to say. Social media fans, a quarter to. According to my watch, can you see it? Oh God, I got to position it where it's here. Okay. Oh shit, yourself. Okay, there it is. I don't know if you can see. Quarter to. I got one of those what do you call it? Smart watches. What happened? See, it's a quarter to now. See, it's a fancy watch. I can do practically all all things on it. Just recently found out that I could place calls on it as well as receive calls on it. It's just hooked up to my cell phone. Yeah, hooked up to my cell phone. I can't show y'all the alternative cell phone number then because was I get to get minutes on my secondary phone, but just in case I lose this one, covering the number. It says in case lost. In case lost, call certain number. See, it's the front of it. Something such. Then we're getting back to some such other. I don't know, gambling. Reading topic of discussion or something like that. Gambling is like any other addiction. It's a life-threatening addiction or vice, however you say it. If it takes money off of a family's kitchen table, takes food out of the mouths of family members in different households, regardless of race or walk of life, society life preference. If it takes clothing off your back, shoes off your feet, not to mention if it takes a roof from over your head, if it puts you in the dog house, the poor house, the big house, and crazy house, then it is something that, I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy, as I was saying in the state for the record earlier. So I say, in the state for the record again, I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. Well, I wouldn't wish that upon anybody if I was thinking from a godly point of view as a believer in God, as a person who has professed faith in the Lord God Almighty, our Lord and Savior Christ, the Lord of Lords, King of Kings, Prince of Peace, Messiah, Deliverer, Rabbi. Then if I were to think from a human standpoint or perspective, then I would wish that upon somebody that I could possibly feel or believe has done me wrong. Like the white boy most recently shyster, scam artist, con artist, homeless, drunken bum. Then I had already went to that about him. I put down money on the table for him. You know, like a name to have you all become subject to experiencing overkill eardrum that dead orphan before you put the rest. Put money down on the table for him in the library after I noticed he had a working cell phone, working laptop, computer, and found out later he had a lemon of a broken down car. Listen to this conversation as he's speaking to somebody, the part on the opposite end of the cell phone, talking about money issues. So I put some money down there, more than quite a few dollars, more than a couple few dollars, say 3 months old, broke the bank. And then from there, I had paid for his meals. Yeah, not lunch and dinner, but breakfast and lunch. And then I paid for gas for his broken down lemon of a car, mobile, motor vehicle, or whatever it said. And then, last but not least, worst of all, I permitted him to spend the night with me in my own place of residence for his principal property. Although I live in a much worse neighborhood now, thanks to a neighbor down here or past one of the likes of this kind. And therefore, I have worse neighbors down there. I live in one of the worstest neighborhoods. Therefore, I have found such a worstest neighborhood down here, especially the kind that be constantly, daily and nightly bothered with other neighbors' apartments. You know. But anyway, though, from there, the white boy stayed with me in the back bedroom of my basement, whereas I had took the living room that I made out to become a makeshift bedroom for myself, where I used to sleep anyway, because it's closer to my apartment door, just in case some of these neighbors from down here want to moonlight as home invaders compared to the back bedroom much further from my apartment door. Anyway, though, I found out later within a self-help recovery meeting after I had invited this homeless shyster white boy to attend with me that, well, he claims he no longer has $900 in GoFundMe account. Whereas I my self-help recovery buddies were saying, then why didn't he get him a hotel or motel room with some of that money? So he was playing you, mooching or welching off of you. Then after the meeting, he asked me, so when we gonna go back to your place of residence? You know, so far as that question's concerned, I said, it's not a matter of we, it's me. You can go wherever the damn hell you want. As they say, closing time for a lounge atmosphere, cabin or pub, as our kids cousins across the great waters of the Atlantic Ocean would call it, or that country or nation or Democratic Republic of democracy so much like our own that gave birth to our own being Brits of Great Britain, you know, the English for us Americans here. But then, it's the same would go something like this here, so I paraphrase it, not quite exactly. You ain't got to go home, but you got to go from here. And so much for that dead horse, sad sack story of another life crisis. Let me close out just by saying, if you haven't gotten Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, I hope that you would think to do so now while blood is still running warm in the veins, to recognize and realize what he himself had done or did, found across Calvary on Hill Road, suffering at the hands of some sort of Roman soldier upon the orders of their superiors, religious, political, militaristic, and all right. Then that less ways he went to that cross of Calvary to become a perfect sacrifice, the only sacrifice. For you as well as me, don't steal my trademark physical gesture. I have to copyright it sometime. That's somebody plagiarized it, such more time. Whereas the minnows were to profess faith in them, regardless of race, walk of life, gender, etc., or even if we were to be green moon Martians in human form from outer space, that could possibly become citizens of the kingdom. I'm just saying it's not. Well, there we would be blessed one regard another. More with more. First and foremost, for the salvation, which is only fire insurance against the lake of fire down hell. And then second, we would be blessed with his deliverance while we still here upon the planet Earth. First, you have got to get his salvation, otherwise you have nothing coming so far as blessings. Make that transition for the great beyond and hereafter. And you don't have that blood sacrifice of our Lord and Savior Christ. The final destination would be the lake of fire, the damn hell, to burn forever, as well as be tortured for all eternity with the rest of the unsaved, lost down human souls, unbelievers and unbelievers by the devil and the demons, compared to how we as believers in God would. Somebody just ran across the carpet outside. We as believers in God, though, would be like blessed across the great divide that separates heaven from hell, in a company of like-minded believers in the presence of God and his angels, otherwise. account. And that's a wrap. A social media family. Bye bye. I'm gonna have to put this personal computer in a repair shop soon enough, hopefully, as a technician could look over and find out how come it's malfunctioning like this, whereas I have to